Welcome to Sip with Summers, the podcast where we talk about sex, intimacy, and pleasure. Because someone has to, and let's be honest, it may as well be me. I'm your host, Jennifer Marie Summers, board certified sexologist, certified sex coach, menopause coach, and your favorite inappropriate friend with a microphone. Around here, we cover everything from why is my libido ghosting me to is it normal to fantasize about pizza during sex? Spoiler alert, yes. So grab a drink and let's get into the good stuff because pleasure is your birthright and awkward is my love language. Let's spill, sip, and say the things most people whisper. Welcome to the show. For those of you who are new listeners to the show, I'd love to share with you that I have a special link on my website where you can ask me anything anonymously. This is a great resource if you have some questions that perhaps you're not comfortable asking your best friend or your doctor. Ask the sexologist, and maybe you'll learn something new. For today's episode, we have some great questions. So grab a drink, curl up into your favorite blanket, sip and listen along with us. Our first listener asks, how can I get in the mood without medications or vitamins? Your largest sex organ is your brain. And so one of the best and most surefire ways to get yourself in the mood is to mindfully get yourself there. Anxiety is a total mood killer. When you are feeling anxious, the last thing in the world your body wants is to be sexual. When life is lifing, work is crazy, you have responsibilities for caretaking with kids or parents, or just the state of the world, or you're tired, it makes complete sense that you would have low sexual desire. Also, for penis owners, anxiety and stress can make it more difficult for them to get or maintain an erection. Some ways that you can help with anxiety to have better romance are going to be sleeping better, carving out time for relaxing, meditation, or your favorite hobby, exercise and diet, or hiring someone like me, a sex coach, who can help you with some action steps to make you feel better. Another way to get more in the mood is to have a better relationship with your partner. If you all are struggling, if there's breakdowns in the relationship, if they're not pulling their weight, it's hard to want to have sex with somebody that you're annoyed with. Some ideas where you can reconnect include date nights, hobbies or activities together, or even treating the relationship like a business and having weekly or monthly meetings to discuss your thoughts, your feelings, and any plans. Another tip to get in the mood is to have more focus on foreplay. 80% of women need 12 to 20 minutes of foreplay before they're even ready for any type of penetrative sex. Foreplay is like cooking, where men are the microwave on express timer, and women are the crock pot you gotta put on low and simmer for 4 hours. And yeah, I'm making a joke here, but the truth is women need more time for their bodies to get warmed up. You gotta preheat the oven before you put the food in. Foreplay allows time for all those beautiful erectile tissues in the clitoris to swell up, to fill with blood, to get sensitive and ready for pleasure. It allows you time to shift your brain from work, being a parent, and life, the daily life struggles, and get more into your body. Remember, it's hard to enjoy pleasure in your body when you're trapped in your brain. And finally, try sex coaching. Sexual desire is complex. And even when a person has a physical or medical condition that affects their libido, like diabetes, improving emotional and psychological response to sex can improve the libido and the sex functioning. Sex coaching is an effective strategy for increasing low libido because we can address negative views about sex, your self-esteem, and then any secondary causes of low libido, such as anxiety or depression. Also, couples sex coaching can help some couples work through factors that affect their sexual desire. It may be known or unknown to you, but many of us carry around a lot of messages around sex that affect our desire. Our next listener asks, why does stress affect your libido and your physical ability for intimacy? When we are stressed out, our body goes into that fight or flight state and floods our system with cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone, and when you have a lot of cortisol in your body, it actually suppresses your sex hormones, such as testosterone. So when you're stressed out, you're physically less capable of feeling pleasure because your body is trying to protect itself. It feels like there's danger present. You're on edge. And a body that's stressed out is not a body that's going to be able to relax enough to feel good. Your best course of action, if the stress is something that's not easily eliminated from your life, is to do some mindfulness practices such as breathing, getting outside, sunlight, touching grass, coloring, sipping on tea, petting your dog or cat, and keeping in mind that your body's not broken. It's reacting to these outside forces that are causing stress and trauma in your life. In addition to my Ask Me Anything anonymously section of my website, I also run a phenomenal community on Facebook called the Self-Love Club. It's a community for women to ask questions and get support around sex, intimacy, and pleasure, as well as menopause and other life changes. The group is open to women over 18, and we'd love to have you in our free community. You can join by visiting selfmadediva.com. Our next question is, when does the loss of fertility part of menopause kick in? Can I do anything to help it along? How will I know when I can go off birth control? So the loss of fertility does not kick in until you're in full menopause. Full menopause is defined as not having a period for 12 months. And so until you have not bled for a year, you're still considered fertile. In perimenopause, we find that periods become more irregular, but perimenopausal women still ovulate, which means you could still get pregnant. Some of my friends in perimenopause have switched to an IUD, and they found that helpful to get some hormones and also prevent pregnancy. It's a good conversation for you to have with your doctor, but until you are fully menopausal, meaning you've not bled for a year, and you do not want to conceive, then absolutely birth control is your friend. Our next viewer asks, what can I do to help relieve vaginal dryness due to menopause? So first of all, vaginal dryness and menopause, totally normal. They may not talk about it, but it's definitely happening to women. Thankfully, there are a couple simple options that come to mind that can help you have more comfort, that can help prevent discomfort, and even help you in the pleasure department. So the first one, vaginal dryness, it's dry inside, it's dry at the opening. I recommend a water-based lubricant. Now, we think of lubricants for sex, but lubricants are also phenomenal to help with the vaginal dryness. One of my favorites is my elevated lubricant. It has CBD in it. And if you can use CBD, CBD is amazing because it creates more oxygen and more blood flow to the genitals, which actually helps you to make more of your own natural lubrication. I recommend a CBD lubricant for anyone over 40 years old, anyone who is struggling with endometriosis. And also, CBD lubricant can really help for insertion for menstrual products such as tampons or menstrual cups. CBD is not psychoactive, it doesn't get you high, but it does work with your body's endocannabinoid system, which helps with muscle aches, with pain, with tension. They isolate the CBD from the THC. And because you're using it vaginally and it's not crossing the brain-blood barrier, you're not going to feel any effects of feeling high. The CBD lubricant can be used daily for comfort and also can be used as a lubricant for toy play, self-pleasure, or sex. Now, if you're experiencing dryness in the vulva region, which is the labia, the lip, the top of the vulva where the crease begins, pretty much anything that you can see on the outside, the vulva. There's another product that I love and cannot recommend enough. And on a previous episode with Dr. Christine Hart-Kress, where we talked all about menopause, we did talk about this product as well. It's called Enchanted Rose Vulva Balm. It's great for daily use. It helps with irritation and it soothes the dry skin down there. Contains organic and natural ingredients, which help provide support for vaginal skin irritation, redness, and dryness due to menopause. But it also helps post-shaving, breastfeeding women, thinning vulvar tissue, and if you have improper vaginal pH. It's not sticky, it smells good. It's really awesome. I'll have a link to it in the show notes. Our next viewer asks, how can it not hurt when penis and vagina sex happens in perimenopause? And how can we sleep through the night? That's like the $64,000 question. Okay, so first of all, how can it not hurt when penis and vagina sex happens? First of all, foreplay. Having enough foreplay is going to help. Women, we're like ovens. We got to preheat before you put that food in there, girlfriend. If foreplay is skipped or not long enough or not happening, it can make it harder to be wet and ready enough to accommodate a penis. In foreplay, we're getting worked up. We're having more blood and oxygen go to the genitals, which is helping you get aroused. And that beautiful clitoris has erectile tissue. And just like a penis, when it's warmed up, it gets erect and aroused. It's like, yes, baby, I'm here and I'm ready for this. 87% of women need to have a clitoris orgasm before they can be ready for sex. And also, we know that in perimenopause, as women's estrogen begins to decline, that it can affect vaginal moisture. So another reason you may be having pain during sex is that it simply is not wet enough. Bottom line, if you're having pain during sex, try a lubricant. Try more foreplay. And pelvic floor therapy can also be beneficial because they will teach you exercises to strengthen and relax the pelvic floor muscles. And that can improve muscle function and help to reduce pain. Now, your other question was, how do we sleep through the night in perimenopause? I feel very passionate about energy and sleep quality. I'm somebody who has struggled with that myself. One of my passions is to help women with their energy and their sleep quality. So the short answer, how do perimenopausal women sleep better through the night? Well, having good sleep hygiene, having a dark bedroom that's cool, regular exercise, and managing your stress level. The longer answer is that I'm building a menopause coaching program where I work one-on-one with women who are perimenopausal to address these concerns, such as pain during sex, such as getting better sleep, limiting hot flashes. Please know that these are normal changes that happen to millions of women all over the world. And until very recently, we never talked about it. You're not broken. You might just need some guidance and a little bit of assistance. Our next viewer asks, how long can perimenopause last? And what if you start hormone replacement therapy and your doctor decides it wasn't enough? Perimenopause is defined as the period before menopause when you're completely done bleeding and you've not bled for a year. Perimenopause can last up to 10 years. The average is around 4. But what I've learned with my studies and my perimenopause and menopause coaching certification is that there is no cookie cutter. Everybody and every body is different. So one of your friends may have never had any perimenopause symptoms, while another, maybe she's suffering every day for 10 years. And side note, if you have a friend that's suffering every day, please send her to me. I would love to help her have some relief. Now, if you start hormone replacement therapy and your doctor decides it wasn't enough, I don't have a medical license. I'm not licensed to give hormones. But my gut says have your doctor check your labs, see what your blood levels are. If you're feeling a disconnect between you and your physician, find a new doctor. Of course, I recognize some listeners may live in an area where there are less providers. As a perimenopause and menopause health coach, I'd love to be support and provide you some resources to help you out. Keep in mind that when we take estrogen orally, our liver is the one that metabolizes the estrogen. And when we have too much estrogen, our liver works in overdrive. Have your doctor do a liver panel and see what levels your liver is at. And in regards to estrogen, there are creams, there are patches, and those do not cross the brain-blood barrier. So your liver is not having to work so hard to metabolize the estrogen like you would if you were taking a pill. Now with progesterone, if you don't have a uterus, you don't need it. If you do have a uterus, the pill form is best because the molecules of the progestin Those are too large to pass through the skin, so you wouldn't absorb it the same. Let's get back to our anonymous questions. And don't forget, if you have a question for me, visit the show notes and ask your question anonymously. I'll come answer it on a future episode. The listener said, how normal is it to have a very long period? Periods are anywhere from 3 to 7 days. Anything after 7 days would be considered long. If you're bleeding longer than 7 days with no explanation, I would recommend scheduling a visit to see your gynecologist or primary care physician. They are going to be your best step for determining what's going on. And in the meantime, keep a journal of your symptoms. Track your cycle so when you go to see your doctor, you can provide them with data and evidence as to what's going on so you can get better answers. And keep in mind, it could be stress. You might have some hormonal changes going on. Or birth control. Years ago, I switched to a progesterone-only birth control from estrogen, and I had a 64-day period. It was awful. When I spoke to my gynecologist, they told me that it was normal for 40% of women to have a 3-month period as they switch over to progesterone birth control. Our next listener says, double cervix girly here. I haven't ever come during sex. I'm scared to admit. How can I bring this up to sexual partners? I don't want them to feel like they're bad in bed if I don't come. Okay, so a couple things here. The first thing is a double cervix is really only going to be an issue or affect you if you're trying to get pregnant. Because typically when you have two cervixes, you have two uteruses. Besides that, having two cervixes is not going to affect your sexual pleasure because all the pleasure comes from the clitoris, not the cervix. Although, yes, some people do like that deep penetration, hitting the cervix, going behind the cervix. The second thing is only 20 to 25% of women are ever going to reliably orgasm from a penis in the vagina. And again, that's because the pleasure comes from the clitoris. A lot of women I meet think they're broken or something's wrong with them if they're not able to come from a penis in the vagina. And that's because all the media makes us think like that's the good, the right, the normal way to orgasm. It's not true. It's the patriarchy. Okay. So I'm here to tell you that right now. The best way to experience an orgasm is focused on the clitoris. So that could be using a toy, that could be oral sex, that could be fingering, making sure that you're having an orgasm from the clitoris. 87% of women need that. So that's definitely something to try. The other thing too is just because somebody doesn't make you come does not mean that they're bad in bed. They might need some guidance. All of us are these beautiful, unique puzzle pieces, and we all fit together differently based on our partner. So perhaps one thing you did with your partner 5 years ago, maybe it felt really good and you came quickly. Maybe another partner does that and it just doesn't feel the same. It's normal, it's natural, it happens. I like to think of sex like a scavenger hunt, like we want to find the prize. What path do we need to take to get there? And so again, I want to assure you it's normal, it's natural, you're not broken. It's okay to say, hey, I need a little more clitoris stimulation to feel good, and direct your partner, show them what you like. But you're not broken, and the double cervix should not affect your sexual pleasure. Our next listener said, is it normal not to wax or shave your anal region? I'm feeling pressured by media that I should. It's normal to do whatever makes you feel good. I personally feel that pubic hair and anal hair, if you have that, is a personal choice. What makes you feel comfortable? If you're feeling insecure about it, if you don't like it and you want to remove it, waxing, shaving, whatever, go for it. Do it. But if you're okay with it, I don't think there's anything wrong. If a man has a hairy ass, and I'm just assuming that this person asking is a female body person, okay? If a man has a hairy ass and he's fine with it, the media is not telling him, hey, bro, you need to wax your asshole. No, they just have a hairy ass. So hair is hair. If you're comfortable with it, rock it out. There's a lot of people out there getting Brazilian waxes. And if that's something you want to do, cool. If you don't, cool. I am team do what makes you feel good. Our next listener says, I am thinking about dating again, but my ex gave me herpes. Although I've never had any symptoms, I tested positive, so it's something I would have to disclose. When and how is the appropriate time to disclose to a potential partner? This is such a great question. And, before I get into the answer, I just want you to remember who you were before you got your diagnosis. Your identity is not your diagnosis. Now, there is a dating website that is really great because it's for people that have a herpes diagnosis. It's called Positive Singles. Definitely recommend checking that out. I have seen some people disclose it right in their dating profile, but if that's something that doesn't feel comfortable to you, there are some other ways to disclose. Starting out with communication and thinking of it as a discussion, not a disclosure. Communicating what makes you feel safe with sex, emotion, spiritual, etc. Talking about your turn-ons, talking about boundaries and things that trigger you. And also recognizing, like, is this someone I want to date short term or long term? Is this a relationship? Is this just a quickie thing? But going into it thinking about what are your intentions and what are your expectations, and then disclosing the STI status. I don't think it's something you need to rush into immediately. But even with the conversation, having a barrier method with condom is going to be a safer way to have sex. The safest sex is abstinence, okay? That's the only thing that's ever going to be 100% effective. But using condoms during sex, and also if you do feel a breakout coming on, avoiding all intimate contact. The way that I've heard breakouts described is it feels like an itching, a tingling, or a burning sensation. If you feel any of that coming about, it's going to be a good time to avoid any type of intimate connection. Also, I follow this amazing woman on TikTok. She is all about herpes education. So I'm going to go ahead and link her in the show notes, and I do recommend checking her out as a resource. Our next listener says, I've never had an orgasm from anyone, not regular sex or oral sex. It literally feels like nothing, and I have to fake it. Is this normal? I'm 30, by the way. So, yes, this is normal. I've been doing sex ed meet stand-up parties for almost 20 years now. And if I had $1 for every time I had a woman come up to me and say, hey, I can't have an orgasm with anybody but myself, I probably would not need to work anymore. So, yes, it is a very, very normal. Here's a couple statistics, okay? 87% of women need to have a clitoris orgasm before they're going to orgasm from any type of penetration. 70% of women on medications have low libido and an inability to orgasm. Those medications are very common. There's something like 300 medications that affect libido. But some of the most common ones are going to be SSRIs, anti-anxiety and antidepressant medication, blood pressure medication, birth control, Nexium, like the stomach medication, diabetes medications, because that affects blood flow. So if you're on any of those medications and you have a struggle with orgasm, it could be the culprit. I have heard and I've read studies that Wellbutrin works a lot better for people, but that's really a discussion to have with your physician. The other thing I want to mention is you said that you have to fake it, and I want to let you know you don't have to do that. The problem with faking an orgasm is that you are telling your partner, hey, this feels good. This is what makes me come, but that's not making you come. And so now they think, okay, when I do up, down, left, right, ABC, she's going to have an orgasm. You're teaching them something that's not working for you. So rather than faking it, I want to encourage you to try something a little bit different. And what that can look like is exploring your own body alone and discovering what makes you feel good. Where are you getting pleasure from? What parts of your body, when you touch, make you feel that euphoric sensation? Some women are going to do that acoustically with their fingers. Some women find that with sex toys. And if you are in that 70% that's on medications that affect libido, a lot of times a clitoris enhancement gel or cream, I sell them in my store, can be really beneficial. Those creams and gels, they're vasodilators. So essentially, they're creating more oxygen and more blood flow to your genitals. And just like a man, when he has an erection, blood fills up in his penis, he becomes erect. The same thing happens with women. As we get aroused and excited through foreplay, through toy play, through enhancement creams and gels, we have that rush of blood that makes the clitoris more erect, that makes the clitoris grow in size from 50 to 300%. It might be that there's not enough time spent on foreplay. The average woman needs 12 to 20 minutes of foreplay. And most people I speak to, they tell me, hey, our whole session of sex is usually like 10 minutes because we're got like 80 other things going on. Plus the kids might break in. Even if you don't have kids, sometimes that sexual exploration can be shortened. So, first, I want to encourage you to do some self exploration and discover what feels good. Second, I want to encourage you to share that with your partner. Hey, I was listening to a podcast and I heard this tip for a sexy thing to try. I tried it out and it felt really good. Do you think it's something maybe we could try together? I don't think they'd say no. If they don't, throw the whole person out, get a new partner. They're not making you come anyway. Okay, but seriously though, self-exploration is your best friend. Also recognizing that this is a normal thing, but I also would love to encourage you to stop faking your orgasms because you're not going to have an orgasm when you're faking it. The final thing I want to mention, and I feel like I say this a lot on this show, is you are going to have a much harder time having an orgasm when you're stuck in your head. I call it spectatoring. So that's when we're having a sexy moment and we start thinking about everything else that we need to do for the rest of our lives. Or, we're thinking, am I making a weird face? I feel like I have to fart. Like, oh my God, I don't want to fart. That's going to be so embarrassing. When we have all of these intrusive thoughts, the last thing we're going to do is have an orgasm because we are so stuck in our brain. You are not in your body in that moment and you are not feeling pleasure. So if that also resonates, focus on your breath. Your breath is going to get you back into your body, relax you, calm your nervous system, calm that fight or flight. And I wish you so much success on your orgasm journey. You got this. Our next listener says, why is it so hard for me to get turned on? And that is such a great question. There could be so many reasons why you're struggling with getting turned on. It could be the medication that I mentioned in the previous question. It could be you're dealing with a lot of stress outside of your life with family, with friends, with personal stuff, with work. If you're having relationship issues, struggling with communication, or feeling like your partner is matching you with helping around the house and truly being a partner, that also might be why you're having trouble getting turned on. If your partner's pissing you off, they're not helping out, and you have to do everything, are you going to be horny? Probably not. It could be medical, it could be hormonal. There really could be so many different reasons. But I work with women and couples with sex and intimacy and pleasure coaching, as well as perimenopause and menopause health. And I have a lot of clients that I work with on how to be more turned on, how to get turned on again in your body. The other thing to keep in mind is as we mature, things that worked before maybe don't work now. Our bodies are different than they were in our 20s. And what's fun about that is getting to explore sex, sensuality, and pleasure in this new body that you're in now. So if you need some extra help, please reach out. My link is in the show notes, and I offer free consultation calls for a limited time. Our next listener says, why do you think a high body count is encouraged for males and discouraged for females? Honestly, I think body count is total bullshit. Body count for women is a way to shame women and make them feel like there's something wrong with them. There's this idea of purity culture that, when you should be a virgin when you get married. Like, I mean, you gotta try out the equipment before you commit, right? Or is that just me? I don't care what gender you are, body count does not matter. It's a myth created by the patriarchy to make men feel good and to make women feel small. I'm 43 years old and I'm at an age now where body count does not even come up. But if I did have a conversation with someone about that, I probably would just say, it doesn't really matter to me. Does it matter to you? And find out why a body count might be important to someone. But besides your partner, I don't think it's anybody's business. And that's a wrap on this episode of Sip with Summers, where we laughed, learned, and probably said clitoris more times than your high school health teacher ever did. If you liked what you heard, be a gem and leave a review, share it with your favorite group chat, or send it to that friend who really needs to hear this. You know the one. For more tips, tools, and slightly inappropriate jokes, follow me on social or head to summersoflove.com. Until next time, stay curious, stay turned on, and as always, keep sipping.